Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate
Om
Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate
Namo
Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate
Namo
Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. For reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer their respectful obeisance unto the Supreme Personality of God and Narayan. Unto Narayan, Rishi, the Supreme Human Being, unto Mother Saraswati, the Goddess of Learning, unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Shrinvatam Svagata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Radyantas Loya Bhadrani Vidunoti Saritsatam. Shri Krishna is Paramatma, the super soul in the heart of each living entity and the benefactor, the truthful devotee. Cleanses the heart of material desire, the devotee, who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Nashta prayeshu badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati utamashloke bhakti bhavati naishtaki. By regular hearing of the Bhagavatam, by rendering service to the pure devotee, almost all that is troublesome to the heart is completely destroyed. In love of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose praise with transcendental song is established as an irrevocable fact. No, just maybe pull the phone closer. Apparently, she can't hear. So, don't get too much of a close-up of my face.
That's fine.
But what can be done, right? Okay, and then all right, and then we'll just do Prabhupada's pranam mantras, and then we'll do some Mangala Charana mantras. Where we begin. Okay, I hear our class happening somewhere else in the house. So that's good. That means the sound wasn't really bad. I thought it wasn't going to sound there. Oh, it was really bad. Never mind. Um, well, oh well. Sorry about that. All right, let's read Srimad Bhagavatam and continue on. We are on text 33. We were talking about the affection for the Lord and how this is what He's really looking for from us. It's not our meager items of this material world. He creates millions upon millions of whole universes, whole material worlds. It's not anything we offer is not so wonderful. But the love with which we offer, this is the rare thing that ultimately the Lord wants. And this is what He actually created the jivas for, the exchange of love with Him. That's actually our natural function. But with love, we talked about this yesterday. What is the defining factor with love? What do we need in order to love Him? Free will. That's right. We need free will. And if you have to be forced to loving someone, like if you force an animal, with a stick to love, it's not like really love, It's kind of like a master-servant type of relationship, like slavery in essence. But love is freely given. And we have to freely choose the Lord. In every circumstance, every moment of our day, we choose what we want to serve. We want to serve the realm of Maya, or we want to serve the Lord. Every second we're choosing. We're right now in the process of no longer 100% serving Maya, because that's what we've been doing. 100% serving Maya, serving our own selfish interest, in which we think we're the ultimate controller and enjoyer. And she sets up a world around us where she allows us to feel that's true. But we get punished over and over again for that type of mentality. And there's all kinds of laws and systems called karma, which dictate us. But when we do finally choose the Lord, and it will take many, many, many lifetimes maybe, for many, we have a good opportunity this lifetime to make some significant advancement and progress on this. And actually it said that this advancement will never be lost. Meaning whatever advancement you've made in bhakti, let's say you guys end up living here for 8 months. And in this life, this was the only bhakti you were going to touch. No matter where you left off, even though, in your the rest of your life you were committed to choosing something else other than bhakti, in your next life, you will have the same opportunity to leave off where you left off previously. Now, good chance those who get some bhakti, they'll keep making advancement. So that's a guarantee almost. But it's only done by your choice. So at the end of the day, what are you going to choose? And we have to choose the Lord. We can't just run through the motions. Michael's ringing some bells. He's doing some ritual right there. And, we just expect, well, I did the ritual. Where's my paycheck? Where's my wife? Where's all these things that I want out of the material world? That's not really love. It's business, actually. Doing business with the Lord. All right, I did this. Where's my paycheck at the end of it? Just like when you go to work. I did this task, and this task. Where's my paycheck at the end of the week? So that's not what we're interested in. We're not interested to do business with the Lord. We're not interested in having maybe some of us are interested in these things, but it's not wise for that to be our interest. So anyway, these devotees, like Yudhishthir, who is the king, he is having so much affection for Krishna, and he's greeting him out of the city. And now we're going to see Krishna go back to Dwarka. And there's a different paradigm now. Now we're seeing all the devotees of Hastinapur, how they're lamenting the Lord leaving them. But now all the devotees of Dwarka, we're going to see how all the devotees there are welcoming him. And also, maybe this can be, what's that word? Not an analogy. It's slipping me. A word like allegorical, that's the word. An allegory, meaning a symbolic understanding of how we should welcome the Lord in our life. Because actually, here we are, he's coming into our life. But are we welcoming the Lord? Are we paying attention? And it's very rare that you get to hear about Bhakti Yoga and you get to hear about the Lord, His qualities, His fame, His teachings, His glories, His pastimes. It's very rare. Look at most of the living entities in this whole region of hundreds of miles of not many people talking about this at all, or practically nobody. But you guys, for whatever reason, get this opportunity. So are we welcoming the Lord, who's giving us a confidential exposition of Himself? Or are we oh, perfect, you're here. You could be my servant. I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. We have this tendency. So we'll see how to ultimately not do that. But let's read Bhagavatam. Atha duragatan shori Koravan virahaturan Sanivartya ridham snigdan Prayatsva nagarim priyai Atha thus Duragatan having accompanied him for a long distance Shori Lord Krishna Kauravan the Pandavas Virahaturan overwhelmed by a sense of separation Sanivartya politely persuaded Dridham determined Snigdhan full of affection Prayat proceeded Svanagarim towards his own city Dwarka Priyai with dear companions out of profound affection for Lord Krishna, the Pandavas, who were of the Kuru dynasty, accompanied him a considerable distance to see him off. They were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. The Lord, however, persuaded them to return home, and he proceeded towards Dwarka with his dear companions. So this is another gesture of love. Even, like a lot of times, after every program, not every guest do I walk outside and things like that, but some guests, who maybe I'm not going to see for some time, or I felt very honored that they came and gave the program. It's praying, you go outside and you greet them off. And on a long journey in a car, usually you walk them to the car and that's about it. But it's not like you're going to get in your car and follow them down the road. It's an awkward thing. But when you were going by horse and buggy and all these things, it was etiquette. You would walk with them. You'd go with them for some time on the journey. So the Pandavas did that, and then Krishna eventually says, please, thank you so much, but please return to your home now. And so you see, even nowadays, it's etiquette, if you have a guest, like say we have a guest who isn't like an everyday guest, because every time we had a guest here, if I was doing this thing, I would have no other time except for greeting and guests. But if we have like a guest who doesn't make their way up here very much, and you go and you see them off. Nowadays it's funny because people have to get in the car and then they have to like go on their phone and they have to do it. So a lot of times devotees will like, just please go back inside. I have to type in the GPS and things like that. So like that. But it's the effort and the etiquette that matters, and especially now you have the Lord to give him this. I would just follow him all the way to Dwarka. Why not? But he requested they go back and do their duties. So anyhow, we'll continue. Kuru Jangala Panchalan Shudasenan Sayamunan Brahmavartam Kurukshetram Matsyan Sarasvatannata Marudanvanati Kramya Sovira Birayoparan Anartan Bhargavo Paga Trantavaho Managvibu Kurujangala, the province of Delhi. Panchalan, part of the province of Punjab. Shurasenan, part of the province of Uttar Pradesh. Sa, with Yamunan, the districts on the bank of the Yamuna. Brahmavartam, part of northern Uttar Pradesh. Kurukshetram, the place where the battle was fought. Matsyan, the province Matsya. Sarasvatan, part of Punjab. Atha, and so on. Maru, Rajasthan, the land of deserts. Danvam, Madhya Pradesh, where water is very scanty. Scanty means like less, yes. Yes. Atikramya, after passing. Sovira, Sarastra, Abhirayo, part of Gujarat. Paran, western side. Anartan, the province of Dwarka. Bhargava, Oshonika. Upagat, overtaken by Shranta, fatigue, Vaha, the horses, Manak Vibhu, slightly because of the long journey. O Shaunaka, the Lord then proceeded towards Kurujangala. Remember, this is still Sutta Goswami speaking to the sages in the Naimisharanya forest. We didn't even get to Shukadeva Goswami yet. O Shaunaka, the Lord then proceeded towards Kurujangala, Panchala, Shurasena, the land on the bank of the river Yamuna, Brahmavarta, Kurukshetra, Matsya, Saraswata, the province of the desert, and the land of scanty water. My Guru Maharaj had built a huge temple in the land of scanty water in Madhya Pradesh. So it's very nice I like how in the translation they actually told you where it was in India, which I thought was pretty cool. But anyhow, after crossing these provinces, he gradually reached the Sovira and Abira provinces. Then west of these reached Dwarka at last. Purport. The provinces passed over by the Lord in those days were differently named, but the direction given is sufficient to indicate that he traveled through Delhi, Punjab, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Saurashtra, and Gujarat, and at last reached his home province at Dwarka. We do not gain any profit simply by researching the analogous provinces of those days up to now, but it appears that the desert of Rajasthan and the provinces of scanty water like Madhya Pradesh were present even 5,000 years ago. The theory of soil experts that the desert developed in recent years is not supported by the statements of Bhagavatam. We may leave the matter for expert geologists to research because the changing universe has different phases of geological development. We are satisfied that the Lord has now reached his own province, Dwarkadam, from the Kuru provinces. Kurukshetra continues to exist since the Vedic age, and it is sheer foolishness when interpreters ignore or deny the existence of Kurukshetra. Because a lot of times you have like the Mayavadi interpretation of Bhagavad Gita is that this is all symbolism. Kurukshetra is your life, and Krishna is really your higher self instructing Arjuna, your lower self, but that's not. You can take some allegorical meaning from that, but that's not like reality, and that these things didn't exist. So there are factual happenings, and there's also allegorical meaning you can take from them. The Bhagavatam, it has so many layers like that, but the Mayavadis, they're very ultimately they're trapped by the last snare of the ahankara, the false ego, is to think that I'm God, I'm the total everything. It's just like the last final thing. They could get rid of everything in the material world. This is all illusion except me being the ultimate master and controller. So they think everything's about them, So including Bhagavad Gita, this is my story. This is my teaching, So like this. So Prabhupada's kind of giving a shot at that right there.
Just one question, esoterically that might be true, but considering the fact that obviously all of this is also true, then is that also
Well, it's never going to be that you are God and it was really about you.
Not like that.
Yeah.
How you were saying that.
Yes, you can get.
Like a representation of how Krishna is showing that.
Yes. In the Bhagavatam, you'll get a lot of allegorical meaning. Actually, this is this is what the Madhyam does. The Madhyam tries to relate the pastimes to their life and get allegorical meaning in the pastimes of Krishna. And you see this with Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He writes the whole Krishna Samhita, and he gives allegorical meanings to Krishna's pastimes that can help the devotee advance and how to see Krishna's pastimes in their life. But it doesn't mean that those pastimes didn't factually happen. There's 3 levels. The neophyte devotee will just see the pastimes and take everything literal, only literal. The Madhyamadikari will understand the literal, because they've progressed from neophyte, but then they'll also take allegorical meaning. And then the Uttamadikari actually is able to enter and see the pastimes. This is on another level that is not for us. But right now, where we're at trying towards Madhyam, is we're trying to allegorically understand these things. At the same time as understanding that yes, these are factual histories, or they're spoken as factual histories. Maybe that can't be proved to you, and you have to reconcile that. But you should understand that they're spoken as factual histories. It's not like this is all some esoteric, allegorical thing. So anyway, does that help?
Yeah.
Yes. Tatra tatra hatatratyer
Tatra tatra tatraya.
Hari pratyudyatarhanaha
Hari pratyudyatarana.
Sayam bejedisham paschat
Sayam bejyedisham pascha.
Gavishto gam gatastada
Vishwagam gatastada.
Tatra tatra
Tatra tatra.
at different places.
Different places.
Ha,
Ah,
it so happened.
so happened.
Tatratyay by local inhabitants. Hari, the personality of Godhead. Pratyudyata arhana, being offered presentations in worshipful regards. Sayam, the evening. Beje, having overtaken. Disham, direction. Paschat, eastern. Gavishta, the sun in the sky. Gam, to the ocean. Gata, having gone. Tada, at that time. On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed, worshipped, and given various presentations. In the evening in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset. Prabhupada saying, it is said here that the Lord observed the religious principles regularly while he was on the journey. There are certain philosophical speculations that even the Lord is under the obligations of fruitive action. But actually this is not the case. He does not depend on the action of any good or bad work. Since the Lord is absolute, everything done by him is good for everyone. But when he descends on earth, he acts for the protection of the devotees and for the annihilation of the impious non-devotees. Although he has no obligatory duty, still he does everything so that others may follow. That is the way of factual teaching. One must act properly himself and teach the same to others. Otherwise, no one will accept one's blind teaching. He is himself the awarder of fruitive results. He is self-sufficient, and yet he acts according to the rulings of the revealed scripture in order to teach us the process. If he does not do so, the common man may go wrong, but in the advanced stage, when one can understand the transcendental nature of the Lord, one does not try to imitate him. This is not possible. So there's a couple things here. The Lord, there's certain etiquettes and travel, and there's certain, we were talking about the sandhyas. There's certain duties one would do at the sandhyas, certain purificatory rites. So at some point, it's not recommended you travel anymore. So every night he would do his proper duties, and he would show the people, what he says in Bhagavad Gita, what great men do, common men will follow. So he's telling Arjuna to act by example. So similarly, we may, did you ever want to give anyone in your life some advice? Yeah, right? At some point, maybe you see your brothers and your sisters, oh, you should do like this, you should do like that, right? But unless we figured it out, how can we instruct anyone? Like even myself here, I'm trying to, teach something. But I really can only teach you things that I can do. Otherwise, I can't teach you it because I don't know. Like this, right? So, I can teach you how to study the Bhagavatam because I was able to study the Bhagavatam twice. So I can teach you at that level. To study the Bhagavatam. Like this. I can teach you to do these morning rituals that we do. Because I've been doing them for some years now. That's the only way it will work. Otherwise, I cannot teach you anything. So similarly, the Lord, he's the ultimate teacher for everyone. So it's not that he needs to do these things. Oh, we need to do these things because it's good for our purification, but he doesn't need to purify himself. He's the Supreme Lord. But he does these things anyway. Not out of he's forced by the material modes or he's going to get a bad result if he doesn't do these things. No, he shows us. He's showing us what is proper behavior. So this is what Bhagavad Gita teaches us. They call it the Acharya principle. Like the one who teaches by example. Yeah, every morning we sing 2 prayers to the Gurus. The Gurvastakam right away in the Mangalarati, and then we sing the Guru Vandan prayers. And this is showing how the guru acts by example, what he does, his activities, and so on. So we're trying to learn these things. The second part, the Lord also, He's always showing us, because He's the ultimate guru. Oh, this is the end of the chapter. The Lord in human society does what is the duty. The Lord in human society does what is the duty of everyone, but sometimes He does something extraordinary and not to be imitated by the living being. His acts of evening prayer, as stated herein, must be followed by the living being, but it is not possible to follow His mountain lifting or dancing with the gopis. One cannot imitate the sun, which can exhaust water even from a filthy place. The most powerful can do something which is all good, but our imitation of such acts will put us into endless difficulty. Therefore, in all actions, the experienced guide, the spiritual master, who is the manifested mercy of the Lord, should always be consulted, and the path of progress will be assured. So this is a very good point. Sometimes we'll see, okay, the Lord does like this. Oh, He's dancing with the gopis. Maybe I should dance with some gopis. But, He's lifting Govardhan Hill. You realize I cannot lift Govardhan Hill. Well, that's okay. Oh, Lord Shiva, he smokes some ganja. Maybe I should smoke some ganja. Yes, Lord Shiva also drinks some poison. Can you take? No. But they're on a different level. We should never imitate these personalities. We should follow their instructions. This is different. Even the spiritual master, many times Prabhupada would do things, and then all the devotees would want to do what Prabhupada is doing. And he would chastise them. You can't do this. I have to do this for this reason, this very specific reason I'm doing this. Why do you think you should do like this? I kid you not, this may disturb even some faith, but there was even a period at the end of Prabhupada's life where Prabhupada always said no tobacco, no any intoxication. But at the end of Prabhupada's life, he was trying to finish the Bhagavatam and he was having trouble finding time. So what he actually did was, he was a pharmacist. So for some years he had, there was like tobacco in the pharmacy. And so he used what was like called snuff. It's like a sniffable...
Tambaku.
What?
Tambaku in India. Like,
yes.
you rub it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if it was that one. I think this one was ingested by nose. I don't know what, something. Yes, I've never even heard of it.
The tobacco is regular, like you just like, the tobacco is same as that you use in cigarettes.
Yeah.
But the tobacco is like you just crush it and you put it in your mouth and
Yeah.
it gives the same thing, but you don't snort it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know from what I saw this past time, there was like a snuff, like a nasal application of tobacco. And he used that because it keeps you up, it keeps you awake. And he used that to go throughout the night. And so, not a lot of devotees even know that. When I learned about this pastime, I was like, oh my God. But then all of a sudden, all of his close devotees, they started getting snuff. And they think, oh, I can do it too. And Prabhupada's chastising them. I'm doing this so I can finish the Bhagavatam. You're doing this for sense gratification, So we have to be like, a lot of times we like become like copycats. Or something. Oh, he's doing.
Like people want to imitate Krishna.
Yeah.
Raslila and pastimes.
Yes,
but they want to enjoy like Krishna.
Exactly, but there's a different application. So we have to be very careful,
Right.
not to imitate acharyas, nor should we imitate Krishna. We need to follow their instructions and try and understand from our spiritual advisors what will be good for us, not always making our own plan. What will be good for us? And then two, if we can ask, maybe for some permission, like, well, okay, I'm really inspired to do this thing, that thing, and the other thing. Is this a good practice for me? And then they can say yes, or they might say, no, that is not at all your adhikar, that is not at all what you should be doing. Like, that's crazy. You see this a lot of times, devotees can get crazy, I did it, my gosh, with my wife in the beginning, I was doing all kinds of fasting, I was doing all kinds of crazy things. But really, because I wasn't taking guidance on what was my proper sadhana, So over the years, you can mature and you can learn these things and you can get proper guidance. But in the beginning, in our neophyte stage, we get very fanatical and we do crazy things. But this is not the process. Prabhupada's saying, in all actions, the experienced guide, the spiritual master, who is the manifested mercy of the Lord, should always be consulted, and the path of progress will be assured. So if we're not consulting the spiritual master, is ideal to even be so fortunate to find a spiritual master. But if, let's just say, that mercy hasn't come to you, you should take some spiritual advisors, mentors, the instructions, and we all have Srila Prabhupada as our spiritual master giving us these books, the instructions found in his books and so on. But these things should always be consulted, and then the path of progress will be ensured. So now let's go to welcoming the Lord, which was what we're going to do here. Where are we now? On chapter 11, Lord Krishna's entrance into Dwarka. Sutu vacha anartan sa upavrajya Sridvanjana padansvakan dadmo dadavaram tesham vishadam shamayanniva. This is I keep seeing this anarta. Anarta is there's anartha, which is like the lack of wealth, but anartha is Krishna's region, Dwarka. Actually, a lot of times, because that's actually the name of my Guru Maharaj's wife, Anartha Mataji. The Dwarka is an artha. So she's like the servant of Dwarka. But sometimes I tell people, and they're like, anartha. They're always so confused and disturbed.
Anartha.
What?
Let's say anartha. Anartha is something inauspicious. You have done.
Yes. So
like crime.
Yes, or artha is wealth, right? But anartha is the opposite of wealth, that which has no value at all. So so people they say oh my gosh, that's her name, and when I'm trying to explain, no, it's Dwarka. But anyway, it's good to see it in the Bhagavatam where it's coming from. Anartha.
It's mostly the pronunciation that's get people off.
Yes. So anyhow, Saha. Oh, the country known as did I say Sutu Vacha? Suta Goswami said, Anartan, the country known as Anartan, Dwarka. Sah, he, Upavrajya, reaching the border of. Sridhan, most prosperous. Janapadan, city. Svakan, his own. Dadmo, sounded. Dadavaram, the auspicious conch shell, Panchajanya. Tesham, of them. Vishadam, dejection. Shamayan, pacifying. Eva, seemingly. Suta Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of the Anarthas, Dwarka, the Lord sounded his auspicious conch shell, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. Purport: the beloved Lord was away from his own prosperous metropolis of Dwarka for a considerably long period because of the battle of Kurukshetra, and thus all the inhabitants were overcome with melancholia. What is melancholy?
Sadness.
What's that?
Philosophically sadness.
Oh, my melancholy. It's
All right.
feeling sad by thinking of something.
Sad.
Yes. So sadness, but I didn't get a concise agreement of answers. So Google, a feeling of pensive sadness, typically with no obvious cause.
Like this underlying feeling that you are sad, but you don't know why you are sad. There might be some depression is very different.
Not depression.
Depression is not sadness. Depression is overthinking on some thought in which you cannot get out of.
Okay, melancholy. So a sadness, just an underlying sadness. It's just a gloomy phase of life. So they're perfect. But they were overcome with this melancholia due to the separation from the Lord. When the Lord descends on the earth, his eternal associates also come with him, just as the entourage of a king accompanies him. Such associates of the Lord are eternally liberated souls, and they cannot bear the separation of the Lord, even for a moment, because of intense affection for the Lord. Thus the inhabitants of the city of Dwarka were in a mood of dejection and expected the arrival of the Lord at any moment. So they had really low spirits. So the heralding sound of the auspicious conch shell was very encouraging, and apparently the sound pacified their dejection. They were still more aspirant to see the Lord amongst themselves, and all of them became alert to receive him in the befitting manner. These are the signs of spontaneous love of Godhead. So they were dejected. Very nice. So they were dejected. Yeah, no problem. It's good. They were very dejected, and then they heard the Panchajanya. They heard the Lord's conch shell, meaning he's close. So now they're all going to welcome him, give him like a royal welcome. And there's a lot to hear. Also, this is what we should feel as well, an intense separation from the Lord. We should feel like you're going to see right now, you guys might even take it for granted. Okay, we worship the deity every day, we do this, we do that. But maybe, Parth, you experienced this when you went to Sweden and you saw that there was no prasadam, there was no devotees. Even the devotees you did admit, they were too busy. And, so you might have felt like, oh my gosh, you're feeling separation from the Lord. And this will happen in all of our... I know I felt it when I went and visited my family recently. I can't wait to go back. I can't wait to get back. Why? Because you experience a lot of pleasure in the association of the Lord, even in but even in the Archana process, even in hearing of his pastimes via Bhagavatam, even in being around the devotees in Sadhu Sangha, chanting the holy names, and so on. What's to speak when you go to the Holy Dham? You really feel more deeply connected and associating with the Lord, and then when you leave there, you're like, I can't wait again. I love being here. I love doing this. And then when I'm forced to not be here, say I have a family duty or something, I'm missing this. But after going to the Dham for some time, you can't wait to go back. That's just the nature, because you feel closer to the Lord. So now, on the flip side, the Lord had left. Just like you see, who is it? Very much affectionate. Meghna and who else is really affectionate to the Jagannath deities? Adya, is it Adya here? Yeah. So, but I know too. At least Meghna, it was funny when Rishi was here and he brings Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, and we were all in the. After a program, and she's just sitting there, like, staring at them after the program. Everyone's eating prasad and doing it. She's just, and Meghna's just sitting there staring at them, and I'm like, Meghna, what are you doing? And she's like, well, they're going to leave soon, because Rishi was leaving with them, so I just wanted to spend time with them. And I actually, it melted my heart, because I was like, wow, she has, like, a really deep affection for the Lord in this form. I convinced her. I said, if you really want to please them, go serve their devotees. Go spend time with the devotees. But at the same time, it really melted my heart that she had so much longing for the Lord that they're leaving. Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra come over. I'm like, oh hey, Haribol. But when they leave, I'm like, oh, I'll see you guys later. But it was nice. We got to go visit them in Buffalo this week.
That was fun.
Yeah, it was a fun trip. It was good. We'll take more. Piyush got hired as my. He's definitely on the travel trip. He's a good driver. So.
I don't know that.
No, we're trying. There's a couple things he has to work on for American driving, but he's got pretty much all the basics are more than down. So he's just a couple semantics. just to avoid the cops and things like that. We had a cop tail us for some time. So anyhow.
It happened the first time the cop was behind and didn't put the lights on.
Yes. I thought we were getting pulled over, but he actually was just running our plates or whatever. For whatever reason, he wanted to follow us for some time on the highway.
We were all chanting very fast.
Yeah, we were all like just praying to begging Krishna like not to be inconvenienced so heavily with this. But anyhow, this is the proper thing to do. We should want to welcome the Lord. And when we ourselves, and we should also not be pleased from separation from the Lord. You'll see this in your life, because you will all not be here together forever. That you'll feel, or you'll go on a trip, you'll go somewhere. If you're paying attention, you should feel, oh my gosh, I miss the devotees. I miss the Lord. I miss my spiritual practice. I miss my connection. Because why? You go anywhere else, you're not going to get that. You go most places in the world, they're not. The emphasis isn't on spiritual worship. The emphasis isn't on the Lord. The emphasis is on how to try and materially enjoy. But for us who know better, we know that this is causing them all kinds of misery. This will cause me misery. This is causing me misery. And then we eventually begin to lament. Yes.
I just actually added this thought, is enjoying misery, or getting attached to the enjoyment is misery, because if I was thinking, if I eat something and I will have that you enjoy it, but if I'm getting attached to that enjoyment, is that a problem, or enjoyment is the problem? I'm not understanding.
Well, there is some enjoyment at it, like for instance, like sex life, right? Sex is, there's a certain level of enjoyment there where the whole world is chasing this thing. This is how the whole world continues on. It's the sex drive. But what happens is we get implicated. What's that? Okay, very nice. That's okay. But we get implicated in things. We get implicated by certain circumstances with the enjoyment. Like, for instance, if you, let's say, like to enjoy fine dining, and you like fine dining, you have to work very hard to acquire all the items for fine dining and recreate this experience for fine dining. And yes, the attachment causes you to do so many things that ultimately will make you miserable in the endeavor. And you go through a ton of misery just to get that little flicker of pleasure, and then it's gone. So this is the nature of the material world. I'll give you an example. Most men are completely dominated by their wives. Yes, most men are completely dominated by their wives.
Under the real fruit, yeah.
Yes, they like to think not, but completely dominated by their wives. Why? Because most men are very attached to the certain level of pleasure that the wife gives, and maybe it's sexual, maybe it's in the realm of food, maybe it's so many, whatever type of things are there. So then they'll go and they'll work 10 hours a day, 80 hours a week. They'll do so much misery, so much miserable, just to try and maintain that little bit of happiness they can squeeze out from their married life or family life and things like this. So most people are doing like this. So this is why it implicates us in karma. You don't just get to freely enjoy in the world. You get some enjoyment, but what's the cost of getting that enjoyment? It's not like let's just say you get enjoyment by going on expensive vacations. Okay, yes, you might get some enjoyment, but you have to pay.
But then there are people who enjoy on how you guys went to Buffalo. It was not expensive vacation. You were staying in one small, but you guys enjoyed.
But that's a different process. We were going.
Answer this question.
Yeah. Well, let me just explain this, and then we'll try you.
Okay.
So I guess we'll end here. But because we were going there for we were going there in service to Krishna. Right. Service to Krishna is always enjoyable. Yes. Yeah, service to Krishna is always enjoyable, whereas service to Maya, there's always a price, and then once your price is paid, then your enjoyment is taken away until you pay the next price for that little bit of enjoyment. But service to Krishna is enjoyable all the way through. You know, like when we're going to Buffalo, we're having, you know, fun little pastimes in the car and things like this. And normally driving long drives is not necessarily an enjoyable thing, but because we were able to do them devotionally, like you guys had a nice class here and we got inspired, so I pulled out my books and we had like a nice little spiritual discussion on what we were reading, and we read together in the car, and then we were chanting and so on, and we were having masti and all these things. But this is, you know, and even when we were at Rishi's, we did similar things. And then at some point we realized, you know, we did the arati in the morning, we worshipped Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra, and then Piyush was like, Prabhu, let's leave. You know? Well, I guess there wasn't really much anything else we could do. No more spiritual activities to do. I mean, we could have done a whole big spiritual, a big cleaning of Rishi's apartment, but we'll leave that for him. we cleaned up a little bit. But anyhow, yeah, in devotional service, everything's enjoyable. And that's why you miss the Lord when He's gone, because the whole process is actually enjoyable. But the what's not is Maya, the temporary pleasures, like maybe say sex life or fine food and things like that. Even myself, you know, I found I used to have my wife cooking all kinds of, you know, incredible opulent dishes, you know, when we were living on the farm, and you know, she would make kofta and this thing and that thing and this thing every day, and I was eating like a king. But because it was for my own enjoyment, there was a price to pay, you know. She wanted me working my butt off in other things, you know, so that you want me to work like this, and then you have to work like this, and like that. And I ended up, I realized I was making myself more miserable having her cook this way and like this, and requesting she cook with this way. So now I'm just like, just make the basic thing. Just make the basic thing. And then what's that do? She'll leave me alone. She's less inclined to be like, all right, well now I did this, and this. It's like, all right, I'm doing this duty, you do this duty, and this, and it's like this. Just make the basic thing. You see, because you have to pay for it. Any type of material enjoyment you try and get out of this world, you got to pay for it. I mean, I see Michael in the kitchen sometimes for hours on end. Who knows what's driving everything? If it's for Krishna, then he'll be blissful doing it. But if it's for something else, you know, he'll get frustrated in that endeavor, because he'll realize, like, what's that? I don't know what he's saying. But this is if you're doing something in pure devotion, it's blissful all the way through. But if you're doing something at all for your own sense enjoyment, you will do some type of austerity or miserable thing for that. And you'll get a lot of misery in the process for a little bit of pleasure, and then the process keeps repeating over and over and over again. You know, so it's do devotion. Like Parth's doing a lot of austerity daily. Yes, right?
Sacrificing sleep and everything.
Yes, sacrifice sleep.
But he loves it also, no, Prabhu?
Yes. Well, I hope, you know, if he, you know.
That's what he told me the other day.
Like he like,
Well, you could let him talk if he wants.
Huh?
He can let.
You talk बोल रहे Prabhu.
Attachment, some desire to do those things. So that's why it's driving me one way. But and there is a lot of suffering as well. I can't do more. Like at the end of the day, I feel like maybe I should have reduced a bit of this. It always teaches me something.
Yes. You do a lot of. He does so much austerity, and you know he knows what is his duty for his maintenance in life, and he may have somewhere some attachment to some material thing. We all do, you know, and in that, I'll give you an example. We went to India. And everything in the Dhams were nice, but anytime I stepped out of the Dham, India was just ready to cheat me. So we booked on Booking.com. Don't ever use Booking.com in India. You probably all know this, but I didn't know this. So I booked a hotel on Booking.com, and these Shaisti hotel owners, they give you the price on booking.com, and then they got there and they changed my reservation, and they're, oh, what's your reservation? And all of a sudden it was 3 times the price. It wasn't really that much. It was, for an American money, it was like $10. But because of the principle of being cheated and I had the attachment to not being cheated and saving money and all these things, I sat and argued with this person for like over an hour, trying different things. And I just realized after the time, I put so much austerity, and I ended up, I don't know, by my austerity, saving like 160 rupees or something, which is like stupid.
$2.
Yes, $2. For $2, I spent like over an hour of my time. And because I was attached to money and not getting cheated and all these things, I suffered like an idiot. And I was so mad at myself afterwards. I just wasted my life. But we do this all the time. We're attached to something, or we'll waste so much time trying to get this thing. For me, a long time was girls. Before I met my wife, there's a whole game to courting ladies. There's a whole, there's so much things you have to do to court the ladies. And it is so, don't worry, everyone is, this is what's driving every single person in this world. Is this underlying desire. Only the enlightened person somehow or other is free from this. But I spent so much time trying to, please ladies in my life, so much austerity, and for hope that I would get like some type of pleasurable exchange from them. But if I didn't come across this knowledge, I still would have been doing that. I probably wouldn't have got married and kept chasing. But ultimately, at the end of it, you learn like what a miserable endeavor to, it's you even when you did as the men say, get lucky, it's so like quick, or even if you really savor it and you have a whole night of enjoyment, it's nothing at the end of it, and you put in so much misery, and then actually you experience a ton of heartbreak, because what happens is you get attached to that, and you say, oh, well, we're gonna do this all the time now, right? And she might be like, no. Nope, no, we're not. And that's heartbreak. This happens all the time for people. They come together somehow or other, by hook or by crook, or they come together, they get some pleasure, and then it doesn't work out in the long run. Most people it doesn't. That's why in our culture we have so many exchanges with people before we get married. At least in Western culture, that's like very common. In Indian culture, you guys kind of just are pretty good still at just like, yes, well, that's only when you come to the USA. And then when you come to the USA, then you pick up our bad qualities. But if actually I went and I was at my Guru Maharaj's temple not too long ago. I won't put them on blast. No one will know them. But we were shocked to see all of the illicit relationships that were happening with the workers were helping my Guru Maharaj maintain the temple. We were just shocked, like, oh my God, we wouldn't even do this in the USA. So we know it's happening. It's happening everywhere. But at least in India, you guys still have at least the etiquette that's proper.
Smaller cities.
What's that?
Smaller cities.
Yes.
But I told you, the penetration of internet, everything is like, people are getting the ideas now. Oh, this is fine, because now they're exposed to what is happening in the world and what is a norm, because they are watching shows from the world. They are on Instagram and seeing what's happening in the Mumbai or the USA.
Yes.
So it's like the entry point was your society and your televisions. Now there is no barrier in your what is entering your consciousness. So there's no boundary, like physical boundary, because everything is acceptable now.
That's Kali Yuga. So yes, this is it's happening everywhere, and we're seeing. You're letting me know the Indians.
We can see from families God is leaving. Festivals are there, but I will say that like when we were growing up, God was slowly getting out from our lives.
Yes.
Because everyone is like, we have to earn money, we have to get a job, we have to get a career.
Yeah.
It's coming back a little now because of lot of gurus and lot of things happening on it. Because there's a good side of internet as well.
Yeah.
Because you're getting lot of people who are like revolutionizing the devotional space.
Yes.
So it's a both coin, but the higher one is still the
Yes,
Maya.
yes. I mean, in Kali
Always
Yuga,
been the case.
it will be that way in Kali Yuga. It'll always be the prime of society will degrade, but there will also be the golden age for those who take Lord Chaitanya's movement. That if you associate, and maybe you too, Tanmay. For those who take Lord Chaitanya's movement, you'll have the opportunity to be blissful in this Kali Yuga. Actually, this is a blissful process. I know you guys, we've been dancing every morning. How nice is it to dance every morning and worship the Lord? Yeah, it's good. And at first it was like kind of awkward for everyone. We were like, all right, even me, I'm like doing this. I'm like, all right, this is a little forced. But now it's like nice. Actually, there was a moment yesterday. My wife didn't come up for the program barely for anything. But she came up and there was just a moment where Piyush enthusiastically got Kaushik to start dancing.
Oh, yes,
And
yes,
Kaushik
yes.
was very happy, and Piyush was very happy, and it made her very happy, and it's a contagious thing. You know, even yesterday, myself, when I would get Kaushik to jump up and dance, I was like in ecstasy, and my happiness had everything to do with Kaushik's happiness. If Kaushik was happy, then I'm happy. So, but it is a blissful process to get and dance for the Lord and to, even to hear His pastimes, teachings, talk about these things. This is it's all blissful. But, we have to be retrained in our Muchi consciousness. We have like Kaka consciousness, So we have to change to really be able to appreciate. But this is the purification process. And this realizing your suffering, because a lot of people, the people who work 80 hours a week because they get to go home and have some sex and some food before bed, and then they'll wake up and do it all over again.
Justify their suffering.
Yeah, they justify it because they get some little taste of pleasure. They think this is great, but because they don't know a higher pleasure. But the devotees who know a higher pleasure, they say, oh my God, I can't do like that. I'm not going to work 80 hours a week just to have a little bit of sex. Are you kidding me? We realize that something else is better here. But it's only when you taste it, though. When you taste devotional life, when you taste the glories of devotional life, then you won't want to do all these crazy things that the karmis are doing. But at the same time, you still have to maintain yourself. And you still will strive for excellence. Like, for instance, Parth, it's very pleasing whenever he comes back and he tells us that he, has won some first prize in this thing and that thing and the other thing, because devotees should be excellent in all of their endeavors. And if he's going to maintain himself...
He's a devotee and then too he's excellent in material life. That's a good example to have the model world, that you can do both if you're sincere enough.
Yeah, well, it's not even doing both. It's just, he's maintaining his life a certain way, but he does it in excellence. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur did that. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was a court judge, and he was so excellent at his job that they literally, when he tried to retire, the British government literally built a railway near his home so that he could continue, because he was that excellent at his job and he was that good.
That's a big thing for God.
Yeah, for a whole government to build a whole railway near his home. So because he was saying, I'm living in Puri now, I'm not able to do it, so please let me retire. And he said, no, a railway will come right to you in Puri. They built a railway just so that he can keep working, because he was that excellent at his job. So there is a level. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur eventually did want to leave that and retire, but for many years he supported his family, and he built a beautiful, he supported the Jagannath temple, and he had leadership positions there, and also he raised Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati and taught him everything and prepared him for revolutionizing, Krishna consciousness. And
he was the only disciple, right?
Who?
Bhakti Siddhanta for him.
Bhakti said, naturally, but he got formal diksha from Gaurkishore Das Babaji with the instruction of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but he didn't take diksha from his father, no.
Oh,
But
it was his father?
Bhaktivinoda Thakur is Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati's father.
He's the son of a judge.
Yes.
Oh,
So,
that's pretty.
Yes, he was very regal. Yeah, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati is not an ordinary personality. And even neither is Bhaktivinoda Thakur, but the type of grahastha life that Bhaktivinoda Thakur...
He was in upper end of the society at that time. Nothing comes closer to the aristocracy in that, and he still chose Krishna.
Yes, they were born very aristocratically. But at the same time, Bhaktivinoda Thakur became a beggar at one point, begging just to organize his spiritual society, because even in aristocracy, if you have great spiritual dreams, like for instance to build ISKCON has taken billions and billions of dollars. I don't care how aristocratic you are, not many people have that like that. So even in his aristocracy, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he left all these things at one point, and he even became like a beggar to continue on to hold festivals and things like this. So we're the same with, not that we're not on the same level, but we've kind of become beggars here, where we're like, come on, we have this guest, and this guest. Who would be interested in helping us? And we say it very nicely, but it's really the underlying thing is, hey, we really need help, and we don't know how we're going to pay for all this. And by good fortune, Krishna sends people to meet all the things. But this is kind of what happens. But anyhow, we've spoken way too long today. But yeah, just to kind of answer your question again, Tanmay, you have to pay. Material pleasure you got to pay for. And your payment is certain levels of suffering and austerity. Whereas spiritual pleasure, it just keeps increasing and you don't have to pay. you can just practice, just associate in sadhu sangha, and then you'll just naturally get it. So it's an obvious process that we should take this one, but we'd have to unlearn everything we've ever known though. So, Parth, I hope we're not making you think about all these things too much. But anyhow, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. All right. Haribol.